Welcome to our Keep It in the Stands podcast. I'm your presenter, Louis Goodman Wilson, where I'm joined by two of our members of the campaign, Charlie Farmer
Hello, it's nice to be here, mate. Thank you.
and Josh Wells.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, thank you for bringing me along today.
Thank you guys for being here. So, we're going to be discussing and talking about pitch invasions in the EFL by giving you some of our thoughts and examples of famous pitch invasions that's happened, whilst also discussing our solution by presenting our own campaign and ideas of Keep It in the Stands. So obviously, we can kind of kick it off. Are pitch invasions really becoming a problem? Some of you may ask.
Well, yeah, first of all, it's important to understand how important pitch invasions are, how often they're occurring. So I'm going to quickly start off with a stat from 2 years ago, which says that there is around 266 pitch invasions in the EFL during the 2022-23 season. With last season, there were 219 invasions last year, with 11 mass pitch invasions occurring. These numbers are a lot. What are your boys' thoughts on this?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to why the pitch invasion is happening. For example, one club that comes to mind when you mentioned about that statistic is Reading. How many pitch invasions did they have last year or the last 2 years?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. And that's down to the owners. Well, not saying it's all down to the owners,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Lou?
Yeah, obviously, just by them stats alone, you know how many there's been, and obviously 11 mass pitch incursions is quite a lot and not good for clubs. From fans' point of view, fans get injured, clubs' point of view, managers' point of view. What would you say, Charlie?
Well, I just think it's important to remember the Section 4 of the Football Offences Act in 1991.
Yeah.
And this states that it is an offence for a person at a designated football match to go onto the playing area or any area adjacent to the playing area to which spectators are not generally admitted without lawful authority or lawful excuse. So clearly, pitch invasions are illegal, but they're also very dangerous, Josh.
Well, yeah, I just want to come back to what Louis said about like injuries and all that. Yeah, you can get injuries to players, and there is one big one I know you two both want to talk about, and we'll come back to that later about injuries with players. But it can also mean injuries to fans, security threats, and you know what I mean, disruption to the game. Who would there to watch the game? Watch 9 minutes of brilliant football, and it's just ruining the game. You know what I mean? Wasting everyone's time.
There's also, the mass crowd surges. I mean, I can think of Hillsborough in the past where that's led to quite a traumatic event.
Yeah, obviously the FA did come out of a statement a few years ago on May the 20th and said football stadiums should always be a safe and enjoyable space for everyone, and these incidents are completely unacceptable and have no place in our game. And then obviously following that, a few weeks later, the Premier League also come out and said they're concerned about fan behaviour at grounds, which obviously isn't good for the footballing leagues, especially the EFL. So obviously pitch invasions can result in severe penalties for the clubs, including fines, bans, extreme cases, match forfeits, depending on the severity of the disruption. But I do want to talk about one bad example. Obviously, we saw I'm sure you boys have seen the Billy Sharp incident.
Disgusting, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, if you don't know, a fan headbutted the Sheffield United player Billy Sharp after Nottingham Forest won the Championship playoff semi-final, and that fan was jailed. So, what were your boys' thoughts?
Well, it was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. No player should go to. Well, it's like anyone. He's gone to work for the day. It's just like any other normal human. He's gone to work, and he's been attacked at his own workplace. No one should ever have to go through that. And again, like I said earlier, there's one big one, Jack Grealish. Big derby day, Aston Villa, Birmingham.
Yeah.
Again, another disgusting behaviour from more fans, and it's just not needed in the game.
Just lucky that guy wasn't carrying anything. He could have had a knife on him or something, Jack Grealish might not have been playing football again, you never know, depending on what he had. But
Well, just from the top of my head, I think going down a different route would be the France-Croatia World Cup final, where during the World Cup final, members of Russian protest groups actually ran onto the pitch, and it briefly interrupted the match. I mean, a World Cup final is the most viewed.
It's the biggest game in, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and it's being disrupted from people running on. And also, a more recent domestic one in the Premier League, Man City v Everton and Arsenal v Liverpool. I mean, Arsenal v Liverpool, one of the biggest rivalries in the Premier League,
Yeah.
actually had a fan running on and handcuffing himself to the post, which forced the referee to halt play at Goodison Park for around 5 minutes.
So this is what we're getting from this so far. There's always going to be there's always a mass. We've seen loads of pitch invasions over the years,
Which needs to stop.
but which need to stop.
Quickly.
But
And sooner.
they're not always, aggressive, are they?
No, it's for different
Yeah.
reasons.
They're all for different, political,
but they
different
still need
reasons.
to be prevented.
They still need to be stopped. Don't get me wrong there.
Yeah, obviously you went back and talked about the Reading situation.
Yeah.
Obviously there was a massive pitch invasion by fans hurling tennis balls forced onto the pitch in a third-tier home game against Port Vale, which was abandoned. Play was paused in the first minute after a bunch of tennis balls were thrown onto the pitch, and after 16 minutes of the game, the Reading supporters ran onto the pitch on the playing surface, forcing both sets of players to leave the field and the game to get abandoned.
So this is what brings me on to what I'm about to say. So we've seen different types. So why does this keep happening?
Well,
What is the reason behind
I
it?
think there's a multitude of reasons. I
Mm.
mean, one of them being that fans pitch invading can lead to social media fame. I mean, you always see the
Exactly.
viral clip on Twitter or TikTok.
Yeah.
Political beliefs. I mean, that just same with the Just Stop Oil
Yeah.
handcuffing himself, and also the 2018 World Cup. You can also argue that it also leads to a criminal record, though, which is not being discussed. I don't think people actually think about this in the moment, that prison times, fines, sanctions are actually occurring because of it.
Well, you know what? I never knew this before I started working with you boys, and I don't think that is something that is spread about more. That you can get a you can get a ban or anything for
Yeah, I mean, you
doing
can
this.
get banned from Wembley Stadium. It means you
Yeah.
will not be able to turn up.
To university, and
Yeah.
there's other can affect your job as well if they find out you've got a criminal record. Obviously we've had some big name managers talk about pitch invasions. You've obviously got ex-Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp saying that pitch invasions are dangerous, and Klopp thinks celebrations can take place without pitch invasions, with him saying I understand emotions, but for the other team it's very dangerous. There's also Eddie Howe that said that it can cause tragedy. Oh, and then Southgate's also said it's a concern and it's a wider problem about pitch invasions.
Yeah.
He's not wrong either. It's a huge problem, but it's also worth being noted. Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, arguably the best player in the world. I don't know if we can say one of. It's
One.
controversial, but
Yes.
I know there's been a lot of concerns over him recently. I know I've seen clips of Messi as well.
Oh, you see it all the time.
Them
You
running
see
on.
it all the time.
I know Messi has his own private security guy that follows him up and down the
Yeah.
touchline. I don't know if you've seen it, but during a game between Portugal and Turkey, he had 6 people run onto the pitch in one game.
Ridiculous.
And I think this clearly shows that it needs to change. I mean, Mark Bullingham, the FA chief, said that the rise in antisocial behaviour we saw in stadiums at the end of last season was entirely unacceptable and put people's safety at risk. I mean, he's not wrong with this, is he?
No, he's not. Obviously, pitch invaders at Premier League and EFL matches will, obviously, like we said, will receive an automatic club ban and be reported to the police in a new crackdown by football authorities ahead of the new season to get, obviously, like we said, criminal records maybe. And then, just going on from the Cristiano Ronaldo example, we had Martinez say it is a concern because today we were lucky that the intentions of the fans were good. Again, if they were bad, people could have got hurt and, maybe not been able to play football again.
Right, lads, I'm going to put something towards you.
Right.
How can we stop this?
Well, I think that's what our campaign's presenting. It's that the Keep It in This Stands campaign, we are finding ways to prevent it. I mean, if you look at our website, we've got stuff talking about how we think we can prevent it, because after all, we are trying to present it to the EFL. However, I think it is important to remember just one thing quickly, Josh, that England had to play a game behind closed doors.
That's what I was literally that's literally what I was just thinking about. And it shouldn't have to come to that.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't have to come to it. And it's a shame that it does have to come to it sometimes.
One of the reasons is said is alcohol.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I've heard
being
that.
a primary reason why we see disorder at football games, and obviously another there's also been an increase in drug use, which is
Cocaine.
mainly cocaine. So again, how can this be stopped? Maybe proper searching to find any drugs, and maybe stop selling beer in stadiums.
I mean, definitely increase security. I mean,
I'm with that.
I think that's pretty obvious. I know it can be quite an expensive process.
There have been some games where I've gone, I thought, ooh,
You don't feel safe.
you don't feel safe,
No.
and you shouldn't go to a game. You
Should be a friendly environment.
Fans and players should not go to a game feeling unsafe. The players there are working, and the fans are in there in their own leisure time. They should not go to a place where they feel unsafe. It's not fair.
I think we've got to be realistic. Increased security means higher costs for the clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, will the league have to provide that? Maybe. But I also think it puts a lot of stress on the police. I mean, how many times you go to a game, you've got the police out on the streets. They shouldn't really be having... I know there's always going to be some police, but you shouldn't have to have mass police forces deployed just for football hooliganism, should you?
Yeah.
But I think it's also worth saying that the legal consequences have got to be further spread. I think that's what we're doing in our campaign. We're trying to tell the average football fan that we need to educate them on the consequences of running onto the pitch. I mean, Louis, would you say that there needs to be more fan education about pitch invasions?
Yeah, definitely. Like campaigns maybe to promote respect for the game and explain the consequences of invasions can obviously reduce motivation for such actions. Obviously, Josh was saying a minute ago about the fans. Like the fans go there to support their teams, and it's for a safe environment. Like we said, it's not there to disrupt football games and get them abandoned. You go there to support your team, to try and see them win every week. Because obviously there's legal consequences as well. You got a little bit on that?
Yeah, I'm totally with you two boys. I think the one way how we're going to improve this current situation that we're in is by improving fan education.
Yeah.
Not enough fans know the consequences of what, of their own actions. And yeah, sometimes, yes, if your team wins the league or goes up, yes, you might get a bit excited. But the pitch is for the players. Let the players enjoy the pitch and get to work, and so everyone can get home safe.
Obviously, we could include some physical barriers as well, Charlie, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, again, along with the security, it could be quite, I wouldn't say unrealistic, but I mean, it'd be a very expensive approach, but maybe installing fences or nets or other barriers preventing them from easily accessing the pitch. I mean, for example, Wembley, it's notoriously got high gates, Josh, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I mean, how many...
And at one point, they did install a new sort of fencing system outside, haven't they?
And I think that's been very successful.
Yeah, so far it has been successful.
I mean, Lou, I do want to just touch on your point earlier where you was talking about alcohol. Is this the reason? I mean, I just want to play the devil's advocate. The 2022 Qatar World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in Qatar, alcohol. They didn't ban alcohol. I think they did ban it in the stadiums.
But
they could still do
certain
fans.
Yes.
So it did prevent the consumption of alcohol to the higher extent. However, there was still
an incident.
There was still an incident where a fan actually stormed onto the pitch carrying a rainbow flag with messages supporting Ukraine and Iranian women. I know this act is said to be a political protest, but it just shows you that the prevention of alcohol isn't I would say personally isn't the main reason.
It doesn't always come down to alcohol, does it?
It's not as simple as black and white terms.
No.
There's a multitude of reasons to why.
So even if you do part of security in all the domestic clubs, more searches, more this, more that.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop someone with a t-shirt hidden running on still, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's important to just remember, just touching up now, that our campaign, the Keep It in the Stands campaign, we're discussing in this podcast why we think pitch invaders are occurring, the significance of them, the impact of them. Obviously, our campaign on our website is telling what we think our proposal should be to prevent it. But just to finish up, Lou, would you like to end up the podcast for us?
Yeah. So thank you for listening, everyone, to our episode 1 of the podcast. We hope you've learned something while listening to this and agree with the majority of things we're saying and we've had to say. And we hope you like our campaign and ideas of trying to stop pitch invasions. And yeah, we'll link our social media accounts in the description below if you'd like to follow our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. But yeah, Thank
check
you
out
for
the
me.
website too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I hope people listening have learned something new today about pitch.
That's all we want from this. People to learn and be educated.
We just need to raise awareness. But
Yes.
thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.